Hi, Francoise. It's good to be with you. And today we're beginning a series of dialogues because Thinking with the Heart in Mind is back.
Mm.
As you know, we ran two pilot programs last year, both of which were wonderfully successful. I think from yours and my perspective, our experience of delivering and running the program for the first time, having had a long gestation period of getting ready for it, and then also the wonderful feedback that we got from both our in-person and online participants from their experience of being in the program. So we're bringing it back this year, and we're going to be running an extended version of it later on in the year, both an online and an in-person one again. And the purpose of our time together today is for us to think together about the genesis of Thinking with the Heart in Mind, and why did we decide together to give birth to this journey of exploration and learning and make it available out in the world. And yeah, so I'd love to know what your thoughts are now when you look back on what was it that brought us together and why did we decide to do this together. What comes to mind for you in response to that question?
Mm. Thanks, Trisha. It's good to be here talking with you about this. And as you asked that question, I have this memory of doing training at Emory University in their cognitively based compassion training program and encountering analytical meditation, which is really about using very actively the thinking process in a meditative way, um, and creating healthy habits of mind. And I was so struck by encountering analytical meditation and the similarities between this way of liberating the mind, essentially, and what thinking environment aims to do with the unearthing of limiting assumptions and then replacing them with liberating assumptions. And so much of my meditative experience had really been kind of beneath or below the realm of thought, this intention to really land in the place of being in this non-conceptual awareness. And here suddenly I was being invited to bring thinking very actively into the meditative process. And I just thought, what an amazing opportunity to explore weaving these two bodies of work together. So, Trisha, with that in mind, I'm wondering, what do you think about the genesis of this program and what sparked you to respond to my invitation to weave?
Mm. Well, I mean, I think if I'm really honest about what sparked me to respond to your invitation was the fact that the invitation was coming from you. So I think there's probably not a lot that you could invite me to that I would go, no, I don't want to do that with you. So I think the opportunity to work with you, because of course our relationship to being in learning journeys together goes back quite a long way, and I can't actually remember when you did the Thinking Partnership course with me and the foundation course, and then went on to the facilitator certification as a Time to Think facilitator. Um, and then so that was the start of us being in a learning journey together. And then we swapped roles, with me becoming the student and you being the teacher, when I asked you if you would be so kind as to turn your group program on mindfulness practice into a one-on-one experience for me, because I couldn't ever figure out a way to make all the dates for the group one. And you very kindly did that for me. And I think that was 2018, if I remember correctly. And that was such a revolutionary experience for me, that learning journey with you. And I started, I think, in that experience of going on that mindfulness program with you, and that it was such a beautiful, intimate experience that we had working one-on-one together. I certainly started to feel the interconnection between thinking environment practice and mindfulness practice. and feel it in a embodied way. And so when you came back from your Emory learning journey and said that this connection was starting to show up very strongly for you, and that you wanted to see what would happen if we made it more explicit, it just felt like something that I had already been an ongoing thing for me that I hadn't yet made explicit, and the opportunity to do that and to then test it with other people and see, is what Francoise and I sensing, is what we're sensing and experiencing in our own learning journeys, is it a thing? And could it make a profound difference for both the practice of being and creating thinking environments in the world and the practice of being mindful and self-compassionate in the world? Could the weaving of these two bodies of work together really make a significant contribution to people? So I think that's what we set out to discover. Having heard my thoughts, what do you think now?
I'm really just reminded of the time that I embarked on my, I suppose, training in the thinking environment, and I was already a meditator at that point. And so for me, it was always quite seamless. I just drew on my meditation practice in a very, I suppose, natural way, because how else was I going to manage the three streams of attention, other than on drawing on my capacity to work with attention through my meditation practice. And it was such a rich experience for me to be able to be, I suppose, really meditatively aware of another person's thinking and being, and meditatively aware of my thinking and being, and to really preface the not only preface, but to give, I suppose, more weight to the thinking than a lot of the meditative training that happens out there. In a lot of the meditative training, there's an invitation to pay attention to thought as a phenomena, as a passing, something that passes through our awareness, the thought stream. There's also a lot of invitation to disengage from the thought stream and to create this capacity to be in relationship with our thinking, which is a radical capacity. And there's also this capacity that the thought stream has for itself, that I think if you imbue it with a quality of being that's infused by a practice that's grounded in meditation, then something profound really, really happens to the quality of the thinking. And so much of that is in the thinking environment. It's woven into it in implicit ways. But for me, what a meditative practice did was it gave me a much more explicit roadmap for the how of being a thinking environment practitioner. What do you think, Tricia?
It's so interesting because I think exactly the same thing as you, and the other way round. That mindfulness offers, and in particular, the three aspects that we explore in thinking with the heart and mind, which is self-regulation, self-awareness, and self-compassion, that those three aspects of mindfulness, I think, have an immense offering to make to a particular aspect of thinking environment practice, which is what we refer to as managing the second stream of attention, or managing that part of me which is used to being ready to contribute my thinking to your thinking when I'm listening to it. So my inner narrative as I listen to you, that's what we refer to as managing the second stream of attention in the thinking environment, in order, because I'm managing it, in order to make myself more explicitly available for the content of your thinking and where your thinking is going, which is the whole point of being a thinking partner. And what I discovered when I did the mindfulness journey with you is that what that practice gave me was the how of having a compassionate relationship to that part of me that is continuously reactivated and triggered. And I don't mean triggered in the sense of I'm now having a traumatic experience. I don't mean that kind of triggering. I mean just activated by something that you're saying in your thinking, and to be able to soothe that part of myself, and therefore in the soothing of it, return myself to being able to generatively listen to you and not get taken up with myself. So yeah, I definitely found that the work that I did with you added an extra dimension to my thinking environment work, and also the other way round, that the fact that I was already so practiced by the time I did the work with you, so practiced at noticing what was going on in my thinking process, but letting go of it and not getting involved in it, in order to stay present to someone else's thinking, meant that when I came into my meditation practice, that invitation that is so much a part of mindfulness practice, which is to notice your thoughts like clouds in the sky and watch them pass by, but don't get involved in them and don't get distracted by them, came really easily. So I think this is why we felt there was already such a weave between these two practices. And I think the fact that they are both practices also lends itself to the weaving, which I think goes a long way towards explaining why we wanted to do this together, and why this year we're wanting to bring it back and offer it again, and in a more extended version, having had last year's opportunity to explore it with our wonderful pilot groups who gave us so much positive and useful feedback on what worked and what could be developed further. What do you think now?
As I'm listening to you, I guess a question is forming in my mind, and I'm wondering what matters most to you about bringing this program back this year.
Yeah, what matters most to me about it? I think probably the aspect of self-compassion is the thing that matters most to me. One of the things that I do a lot of in my thinking environment work as a member of the faculty is supervising other practitioners, other thinking environment practitioners in their practice. And the thinking environment is a huge ideal, as is living mindfully. It's both of those things. It's a big ideal, and in the nature of ideals is that we fall short of them. And if we care about them, which I think people that practice mindfulness and people that practice being a thinking environment in the world do, they care enormously about those ideals and they strive to live up to them. I think a big part of what we need to get good at is having a lot of compassion for our humanity in the falling short, so that we don't derail ourselves, and so that we are able to keep practicing with kindness, and with ongoing courage and strength. What do you think? What matters most to you about it?
I think what matters most to me about it is still part of what was the genesis. I mean, aside from the obvious ways in which the bodies of work and the practices speak to each other and draw on each other, was this deeper intention to imbue our thinking and our conversations with greater compassion. It's a question I live my life by, is this question of, what if compassion were present in this moment, now? And I guess as a former journalist who still spends a fair amount of time quite engaged with world news, I I think it's probably the most radical question we could be asking ourselves every moment of our waking lives. And because so many of those moments are spent in conversation, anything that moves us closer towards having more compassionate, more aware conversations is something that I'm happy to give my whole heart to. Mm.
Thank you. And I'm so happy to be doing that with you. So looking forward to future dialogues on this, and thank you for this time together today.
Mm. And thank you everyone for listening to this and sharing our dialogue with us.